بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا كبيرا وأن الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة أعتدنا لهم عذابا أليما. صدق الله العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد في أول كلامنا، اللهم صل على محمد في أوسط كلامنا، اللهم صل على محمد في آخر كلامنا. We are already in the month of Rajab, and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will start making dua for Ramadan from the month of Rajab. Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. O Allah, bless us in this month of Rajab and Sha'ban and make us reach Ramadan. Ramadan is the month of Qur'an, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن, in which Allah revealed the Qur'an. And what is our relationship with the Qur'an? What does Qur'an mean to me in my life today? That is in the next few minutes that we have for Maghrib. That is the question we need to answer. That when I look at the Qur'an today, how do I feel connected to the Qur'an? These are the words of Allah. This is the message of Allah. This is what Allah revealed, the most greatest thing in the world. The greatest thing in the world at this moment in time is the Qur'an. Nothing greater than this. On one side we read the Qur'an, very blessed thing to do. For every letter we get 10 rewards minimum. But it's not the only thing. Did Allah just reveal the Qur'an that just read the Qur'an, do khatam upon khatam? That's it. Or is there more to the Qur'an than this? MashaAllah, many people memorize the Qur'an, which is, MashaAllah, one of the greatest blessing a person can ever have. Imagine. And sometimes I like to advise the parents more than the child itself, that subhanAllah, Allah has already blessed his child to memorize the Qur'an. But how is the Qur'an affecting your life as a parent? The mother is coming to drop the child off to madrasa. Oh, my son, go and memorize the Qur'an. The mother doesn't perform salah. The mother doesn't have a scarf on her head. The mother doesn't wear hijab. What is the Qur'an affecting in her life? The father doesn't come to the masjid. And then the father expects that I will be crowned on the day of Qiyamah. But there is no Qur'an in his life. When we are making our children hafiz, which is the greatest thing to do, and we should also look like parents of a hafiz. These are not normal parents. This is not a normal mother. This is not a normal father. This is the father of a hafiz. This is the mother of a hafiz. Subhanallah. There should be some relationship. So what does the Qur'an mean in my life? What do I look at the Qur'an as? Is the Qur'an guiding me? Is the Qur'an giving me directions? Wallah, if you were really to do tadabbur on the Qur'an, Allah says two things in the Qur'an. There could only be one of two. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. They either ponder, contemplate on the Qur'an, that's one, or otherwise their hearts are blocked. Their hearts are locked. So if we are not contemplating on the Qur'an, if we are not pondering over the Qur'an, then the second thing is our heart is not open, it's locked, blocked. Now the question is, how do we create this connection with the Qur'an? That's the question today. Number one, we need to start understanding the Qur'an. There are many translations of the Qur'an which we can read. It is sad to say that we as born Muslims, many people, they are 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, until today they haven't even read one full translation of the Qur'an. Not even one. On the other hand, we see so many reverts. They have come into Islam because of the translation of the Qur'an. It was so powerful, Qur'an, that they have made them leave the whole life of kufr, the whole family, everything behind to change the whole life. But me and you, we don't read translation of the Quran. We think, no, this is very high level things and everything. No, basic translation we can all read. Quran made easy. We should all have. The Noble Quran by Mufti Taqi, we should all have. These translations of the Quran, we should. So my message to you today is that before Ramadan, start going through the whole translation of the Quran full. So we have about 6 weeks. Every day, read a few pages or read a quarter juz. If you're doing tilawah of half a juz every day, do 2-3 pages with the translation. Yeah, there will be certain 20-30% in the Quran which we don't delve into. If there are things which even ulama will not know, alif lam mim, mutashabihat, we don't go into that. وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ يَقُولُونَ آمَنَّا بِهِ. Even those who have the greatest knowledge, they say we believe in it. We don't go too much into it. It is from Allah and Allah knows the real meaning of it. Then there are certain rulings, ahkamat. If I am reading the Quran and just basic things, which is most of the Quran, 70% of the Quran is, the creation of Allah. Allah has created the heavens, Allah has created the earth, Allah has created the animals, Allah has created the mountains. أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ وَإِلَى السَّمَاءِ كَيْفَ رُفِعَتْ all these things, we can relate to it. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَى طَعَامِ. Allah says, doesn't human look at his food? So when you sit down to eat, don't just start eating the food. Think, how did this food get to me? Where was the seed planted? How did it grow? How was it harvested? How did it reach my plate? How am I eating? إِلَى طَعَامِ. This is just one ayah I am mentioning to you. So these things we can relate to. These things we can all. No alim, no imam in the world will stop you that stop reading these verses of the Quran. Stop reading the meaning of this Quran. Nobody will tell you. Everybody will tell you, you should. And when we, especially the surahs that we read in our salah, we should all know the meaning of them. The last 10, 15, 20 surahs, we should all know the meaning of it. ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. All these we should know the meaning of these surah. So at least we know that we are actually reading what we are reading. Otherwise we are just murmuring, parrot fashion. Yeah, we get the reward. Alhamdulillah, our salah, inshallah, Allah will accept it. But are we actually feeling connected to our salah? Is my salah only about inna atina qul huwallah? Do I not feel any more connection? So that's one thing. Read a full translation of the Quran. Number 2, join a little course. Once a week, twice a week. Some basic Arabic, Quranic Arabic, basic dars of the Quran. Nearly in every masjid we have durus of Quran. How many people sit in the durus? This is a complaint across the board. Every imam, they say that the whole week we prepare just to do this dars of the Quran, because at the end of the day it's not my word, your word, it's the words of Allah. So we have to make sure that whatever we say is perfect. We don't want to make mistakes. So they say we prepare the whole week just to prepare that lesson. 5 people sitting in the lesson. One Sheikh was mentioning, he said, one Imam was mentioning, he said, I have been doing dars in this masjid for 20 years. Dars of Quran, week in, week out. So only 8 people sit in my lesson. Only 8. Okay, so every week we cannot sit. We have our own commitment, we've got other things to do. Make a habit of sitting once every 2 weeks. Once every month we should at least be sitting in this durus. Take notes. Every day I should be learning something new about the book of Allah. If my knowledge of Quran today is the same as it was yesterday, what have I achieved today? What have I gained? One of the students who used to come here to study, he's finished now, mashallah. He's teaching as well. This is, in the beginning we started the course with them. This is speaking about 7-8 years ago. So, that was the first year of him studying the course. So mashallah, we studied basic Arabic, Nahwa, Sarf, basic. Then after a few months Ramadan came. After Ramadan, it was holiday, after Ramadan he came, he said, this was the best Ramadan in my life. I said, what do you mean? He said, this Ramadan I actually understood some of what was being read in the Taraweeh. Not all of it, 20%, 25%, but I understood something. My mind was not on the time. My mind was not at the speed of the Imam. Why this Imam? I was actually trying to, I was actually enjoying something. That is when we hear the stories of Sahaba radiallahu anhum. The Prophet of Allah himself, one ayah, the whole night they are in front of Allah. One ayah. إن تعذبهم فإنهم عبادك وإن تغفر لهم فإنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. You can only get this passion, you can only get this motivation if you know what you are reading. If you don't know what you are reading, how are you going to know what you are saying in front of Allah? You will just be worried about finishing the surah. So let us get connected to the Quran. It's very important. I feel that there are two extremes in our community. One extreme, they don't want to learn anything. They just know how to read Quran, but whatever we had to learn, we learn now. That's one extreme. We don't want to go anywhere further. We don't become really big Maulana or something. Is Quran only for Maulanas? That's one extreme. Another extreme, people who study little bit here and there, they see a few videos here and there, browse a few YouTube here and there, they think they know it all. I know how to debate Maulana. Now we need to understand that we are living in this country of UK. I've given that example a few times before also. We are living in this country. Now if we go through some red light, or if we go through a no entry or something, or we do something wrong on the road and we get stopped, this can never be an excuse that I didn't know. You are living in this country, you should know. Your responsibility to learn the rules, the regulations. But that does not mean that just because you know the rules and regulations, now you start acting like a lawyer, started debating with people in court and everything. It doesn't get you on you just know the basic rules and regulations, you follow that. You are not on very high level. So that is the extreme today. With little bit of knowledge, some people start thinking, I know everything now. What does this Imam know? What does this Maulana know? That is two extremes. That is why we should always make dua to Allah. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a. Imagine the Prophet of Allah himself, who Allah is revealing the Qur'an to. Wahi is coming to him. He is being told by Allah that say, Qur Rabbi zidni ilma. Oh Allah, increase me in my knowledge. Meaning your knowledge should always be increasing. Your knowledge should always be increasing. And if I am reading the Quran and my understanding of that ayah is going against another ayah of the Quran, or is going against a very mainstream aqidah, or is going through some of the well-known ahadith, mutawatir ahadith, then that understanding is definitely wrong. Many people come and argue, but the Quran is saying this. But on the other hand, you have this as well. Are you trying to say this is contradicting? How can the words of Allah and the words of the Prophet of Allah be in conflict? They have to be together. Now, if according to me they seem to be contradicting, there seems to be some other explanation of it, or there seems to be some other understanding which I haven't understood it properly. That's where people go wrong. They try to do self-study. They try to do their own thing sometimes, over the top. You can do self-study, basic thing, no problem. You need to do self-study, basic. But when you come to do a bit advanced, a bit more intensive, then you need the to consult the ulama, you need to consult the imams. You need to be a bit more committed. You need to, So, now, many people, they say, but the alim courses that we have today are not on that level. Before it used to be so many years, now it's so many years. The alim classes, they don't teach you all the knowledge, they just teach you how to study the knowledge. Like a person, he grows up, he becomes 17, 18, he doesn't just start driving a car. He needs to take lessons, he needs to, go through this whole procedure, take the test, theory test, practical test. Then finally when he gets his license, then he can start driving on the road. That doesn't mean that he's now the perfect driver on the road. It doesn't mean that. It means that now he's capable of driving the car. Now he makes mistakes, he crashes here and that. Doesn't mean that, what did the instructor teach him? Who he carried with? The instructor taught him what he needed to be taught. Now it was his own responsibility. Similarly, the alim courses that we have around us is like a driving, lesson, driving test, that now you are able to do a bit extra self-study, more than other people. You can pick up other tafasir, you can pick up other books of ahadith, other shuruhat. And even then, if you think that something is not coming to your understanding, you should always consult your elders, consult your seniors. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu says that for one ayah of the Qur'an, I was following Umar radiyallahu anhu for a whole year. Imagine. Just to get the understanding of this ayah. What is Allah trying to tell me? I asked somebody that what does this ayah mean? They said the best person behind this who will tell you everything is Umar radiyallahu anhu. So sometime I would go to see Umar radiyallahu anhu, he would be busy with somebody. Sometime I would go to see him, I see maybe he's doing his own a'mal, maybe it's not the right time, maybe I shouldn't approach him now. Like this, I followed him for a whole year just to get that understanding of Qur'an. When we study one ayah, if we are reading the translation of the Qur'an and a particular ayah gets stuck in our mind and we are thinking about it the whole day, I need a bit more information about this. I need a bit more detail about this. I need to ask the Imam a bit more about this. Then understand that you are connected to the Qur'an. Sometimes a person is going through problems in his life, he's going through some issues out there. He comes to the masjid. And then the Imam reads the ayah. And that ayah sometimes is the answer to what he's trying to look for. Sometimes a person, he's going through so many different things in his mind, and he thinks, what shall I do? And when he comes to the masjid, then the Imam all of a sudden reads Alhaakumut Takathur, Idha Wailul Likulli Humazatil Lumaza. If he knows the meaning of it, then he'll understand what Allah is trying to tell him. Just one story and then it's time for already Adhan and you. SubhanAllah, I have mentioned this many times and I just can't get over it. The story of a revered brother. He said, I had gone through the whole translation of the Qur'an. I had made my mind up. I wanted to become a Muslim. I was sitting alone in the room on my own. I had the Qur'an in front of me. And I was saying to Allah, God, I know you are there. You are the real one. Just that final push. Just give me one little sign that will just box you all off. He said, then I waited. Nothing happened. Then I said, Allah, you still got a chance. Maybe you could just be a bird moving. Nothing happened. He said, I got a bit disappointed. I opened the Qur'an, the very next verse which Allah put in front of me. أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِهِمْ أَنَّا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ يُتْلَى عَلَيْهِمْ. This book that we have revealed to you, is that not enough of a sign? Are you asking for any more sign? You're asking, what sign are you asking for? He said, I felt so stupid, Allah, it's so powerful. He said, I had to become a Muslim. Allah give all of us the understanding. Allah make us connected to the Qur'an. Every day make dua to Allah. Oh Allah, make me connected to you. And the more our thermometer of how much we are connected to Allah is that how much are we connected to the words of Allah. That is the thermometer. How much do I love the Qur'an? That is the thermometer that how much I love Allah. How much I am connected to the words of Allah is the thermometer how much I am connected to Allah. Allah give all of us the understanding. Ameen wa sallallahu wa sallam.